Welcome to the Heme Consults Video Orientation Series number 14. Today, we are talking about the blood film. I remember when I was a med student and I was attending hematopathology rounds. I had glasses at the time, and I was so bored, I kept falling asleep at the microscope. Like literally, I would fall asleep. My glasses would hit the microscope. I would wake up. I was so tired. It wasn't really a function of the rotation. It was a function of my fatigue. And I knew I wasn't going to become a hematopathologist. Okay, so why do I tell you this story? Because it is important for you to learn how to read the blood film. Remember, I told you when anybody calls you with a cytopenia, whether it be anemia, leukopenia, thrombocytopenia, or an osis, a leukocytosis, a thrombocytosis, erythrocytosis, you always want to get a blood film. Always get a blood film. As long as the consult question revolves around a blood cell, you should request a blood film. Think of the blood film as an important bit player. It doesn't tell the whole story, but it's an important part of the whole story. So the blood film is important. Now, in that regard, the blood film also doesn't stand on its own. And so sometimes teams will call and say, hey, we don't need anything. Just look at the blood film and tell us if it's okay. The blood film is not enough to tell you if a patient is okay. Don't fall into the trap. Don't fall into the trap. If they want to consult, you want to make sure you get the clinical history, because the clinical history and the slide, they always go together. If it's a technical question, that's a question that maybe pathology can answer, because they don't have to see the patient. They're not obligated or required to see the patient, but you are because you provide clinical care. And so if a team wants a blood film evaluated, talk to them about the whole patient so you can give them a response that's actually going to be helpful to them and to the patient. Okay, so if a team wants to turn you into a blood film reader and you decide that you're going to acquiesce, bring the whole team down to do a teaching time at the microscope with your teaching time at the computer. Now that many of these blood films are digitized, make it into a teaching session where they can tell you about the patient and you can show them how to look at their own blood films. The other thing is that every time you look at a blood film, you just want to make sure that you write out an interpretation. It's good practice. It helps you see how to do it. You'll probably, if you stay in hematology, read a lot of blood films over your lifetime. You just want to make sure that you are putting it together in a way that makes the most sense, or in a way that's logical and consistent. The other thing is put images in the chart to the best of your ability. It's helpful to say there were no schistocytes per high power field, and here's the image. So the team knows exactly what's going on. It's helpful to put the images in the chart. If the question revolves around a thrombotic microangiopathy, you're already looking at the blood film, so you're doing great. But if there's any concern for TTP, you do want to formally document the number of schistocytes per high power field. How do you do that? You go to one high power and you count how many schistocytes, and then you go to a totally new field. You count again until you've counted about 4 to 5 fields, and then you have an average number of schistocytes. But you want to document that in the chart, that you actually formally did it, so that it's clear exactly how many schistocytes there were. Okay, this week, I'm inviting you to write out the interpretation for every blood film you read. And imagine what it would be if you read 3 to 4 blood films per day for a 4-week period. You'd become proficient pretty soon. That would be super awesome. I'll see you in the next video.